Picture this. You are standing in the produce section of your local grocery store, and you're holding two apples.
Okay, I can picture it.
Right, and they look completely identical. I mean, they are the exact same shade of crimson. They have that exact same, like, wax-like sheen.
Yep.
And if you bit into them, they would undoubtedly have the exact same satisfying crunch.
Oh, totally.
But there is one glaring difference. One of these apples costs almost twice as much as the other.
Let me guess. It's got the little sticker.
Exactly. It has a tiny green sticker on it that says organic. And right now, as you're holding it, your brain is utterly convinced that buying it means you are being significantly healthier.
Right, like you're living longer, doing something inherently better for your body.
Yeah, exactly. And today, we are finding out if your brain is actually right.
It really is the ultimate grocery store dilemma, isn't it? I mean, we are constantly navigating this landscape where the word organic isn't just a dry agricultural classification anymore.
Oh, not at all.
It's morphed into this lifestyle brand, like a premium tier of existence that spans from fresh berries to boxed macaroni and cheese and even, to the cotton in our clothes.
It's everywhere, and we are spending a massive amount of money on that premium tier.
We really are.
So for this deep dive, we took a stack of research, biological data, agricultural regulations, and we are just stripping away the marketing hype.
Love it.
We want to know what is biologically happening in the dirt, what is chemically happening in your bloodstream, and ultimately whether that higher price tag is a genuine physiological investment in your wellness.
Or if we're all just paying a massive markup for a feeling.
Exactly.
Well, to figure that out, we really have to look closely at the mechanics of what organic actually means, like both legally and physically.
Right.
Because it's not just a buzzword a farmer can legally slap on a crate of produce because they feel, optimistic about their harvest.
Right. They can't just vibe their way into being organic.
Exactly. No good vibes farming here. It is a highly regulated, very specific methodology of food production. So we have to leave the grocery aisle for a moment and look at the actual soil.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because I think most people assume organic simply means, no pesticides.
Which is only a fraction of it.
Right. Looking through the data we pulled, it is infinitely more complex than what is just being kept off the leaves.
Oh, definitely.
Like if a farmer isn't using artificial synthetic fertilizers to pump massive amounts of nitrogen directly into the ground, how are they actually getting a commercial yield?
Yeah, it's a huge shift.
I mean, I really want to know the mechanics of how this works without the, synthetic cheat codes.
It requires a fundamental shift from chemistry to biology.
Okay.
When a conventional farm uses synthetic fertilizers, they're essentially feeding the plant directly. The nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, they're all engineered in a highly soluble form.
That's super fast.
Exactly. The plant's roots take it up almost immediately. But this bypasses the soil microbiome entirely. Yeah, so over time, the soil itself becomes increasingly sterile and compact. It essentially turns into just a structural medium to, hold the roots upright while the farmer pumps in the chemical nutrients.
Okay, wait. It's basically like comparing conventional farming to fast fashion.
Oh, I like that. How so?
Well, fast fashion is cheap, it's pumped out incredibly fast, but it completely destroys the environment behind the scenes, and it doesn't really last.
Right.
Whereas organic farming is more like investing in a tailored, sustainable wardrobe. It takes way more time, it's more expensive up front, but it's built to last, and it respects the ecosystem it came from.
That is a perfect analogy.
But it makes me wonder, are consumers primarily paying for what is in the food, or what is intentionally left out of the farming process?
Well, it's really a combination of both. It's a proactive approach to ecosystem balance combined with, a strict restriction on those synthetic shortcuts. Because organic farming, by legally prohibiting those fast fashion synthetic IV drips, it forces the farmer to feed the soil, not the plant.
Feed the soil itself.
Exactly. They use large-scale composting, animal manure, cover crops, all to introduce raw organic matter into the dirt.
But the plant can't eat raw compost, right?
No, it can't. That matter has to be broken down by billions of bacteria, earthworms, and these incredibly complex mycorrhizal fungi networks.
So the farmer is basically rebuilding the digestive system of the earth from scratch?
That's exactly what they're doing. Those fungi networks attach directly to the plant's roots. They act as an underground extension of the plant, mining the soil for minerals and water.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And in exchange, the plant feeds the fungi sugars that it creates through photosynthesis.
So it's a completely mutually beneficial relationship.
Yep. The microbes digest the compost, and their metabolic byproducts are what actually feed the crop. So it is a slow, methodical, symbiotic release of nutrients.
Okay, but what about the pests?
The pests.
Yeah, because if you cannot legally spray a massive chemical blanket over the field to kill the aphids or the beetles or whatever, how do you protect this crop that you've just spent all this time slowly feeding through the soil microbiome?
You have to outsmart the life cycles of the pests mechanically.
Mechanically? How do you mechanically outsmart a bug?
Well, one of the primary tools is intensive crop rotation. So say you plant corn in the exact same field year after year.
Right.
The specific pests that thrive on corn, they set up a permanent residency in that dirt. They lay their eggs, they hibernate, and they wake up to an all-you-can-eat buffet the following spring.
The buffet never leaves town.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But by rotating to a completely different crop family, say planting a field of legumes the next year, the corn pests wake up, find absolutely nothing they can digest, and their population collapses naturally.
Just from starvation.
Yep, without a single drop of chemical insecticide.
Wow. And the legumes also naturally pull nitrogen out of the atmosphere and fix it back into the soil.
They do. It's brilliant.
So it's double duty. But let's pause on that, because this brings us to the real tension point for the person holding those 2 apples in the store.
The micro level.
Yeah, the plate. If the farmer is spending all this extra time tailoring the soil and carefully outsmarting beetles with crop rotation, what is actually absorbing into the apple itself?
Right.
Like, are we just paying for a really robust farm ecosystem, or is the physical fruit fundamentally different?
But when you look at the biology of what is actually entering your body, it boils down to 2 main physiological factors.
Okay.
The first is exactly what you were avoiding: synthetic pesticide residues. Because the organic farmer is using crop rotation and biological pest control instead of chemical sprays, the fruit doesn't carry those synthetic compounds from the farm into your kitchen.
Okay, wait, here's where it gets really interesting, and I need to challenge this directly.
Bring it on.
Because this is where the argument often falls apart for me. The regulatory agencies, like the USDA, the EPA, they set incredibly strict legal limits for pesticide residues on conventional crops, right?
Yes, they do.
They calculate what's called the reference dose, which is the maximum acceptable oral dose of a toxic substance, and they build a massive safety buffer into it.
They do, yeah.
So they test the produce, and they declare it scientifically safe for human consumption.
That's true.
So if the baseline conventional apple is strictly regulated and deemed completely safe according to toxicologists, isn't paying double for this quote-unquote organic peace of mind just a tax? Like, are we just falling for a placebo effect? We're paying a premium to avoid a danger that science says isn't actually a danger.
I love that you brought this up because that is the most heavily debated aspect of the organic market, and your skepticism is entirely valid.
Thank you. It just seems crazy sometimes.
It does. Agricultural authorities maintain that conventional pesticide levels are orders of magnitude below what would cause acute toxicity.
Yeah.
You are not going to eat a conventional apple and instantly get sick.
Right.
But the argument for organic isn't about acute toxicity. It is about the mechanics of long-term bioaccumulation and the cocktail effect.
Okay, explain that. What exactly is bioaccumulation?
So certain synthetic compounds, particularly older classes of pesticides, are lipophilic.
Meaning they like fat.
Exactly. This means they can dissolve in fats and accumulate in human adipose tissue, our fat cells, faster than our liver, and kidneys can metabolize and excrete them.
Oh, wow.
So while a single conventional apple is perfectly safe, consumers who prioritize organic are looking at the compounding mathematical effect. They're eating conventional apples, strawberries, spinach, grains every single day for decades.
So it just slowly builds up. And what is the cocktail effect?
Well, regulatory agencies test the safety of pesticides one chemical at a time.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, but we don't consume them one at a time. We consume a mixture of different trace residues from different foods. The cocktail effect refers to the unknown physiological interactions of these multiple low-dose chemicals mixing together in our bodies over a lifetime.
That sounds a little intense.
It is. The concern is the cumulative metabolic load, particularly on the human endocrine system, which regulates our hormones.
And as women, we know how incredibly sensitive our hormones are to just about anything.
Oh, absolutely. A tiny disruption can throw everything off.
So it's not a placebo effect to them, it is a long-term risk mitigation strategy. Even if the immediate risk is near zero, they are buying a guarantee of absolute minimal chemical exposure just to ease that invisible burden on their liver and hormonal systems over a lifetime.
Precisely. And for someone navigating complex health issues or someone feeding a developing toddler whose cellular systems are rapidly multiplying,
Yeah.
lowering that toxicological burden has a tangible, valuable benefit. It's a proactive defense mechanism.
Okay, I can see the biological logic there. It's a risk tolerance calculation.
Exactly.
But what about the other side of the equation? What is actively in the organic apple that isn't in the conventional one? Because for years, the marketing has screamed that organic food is packed with way more nutrients. Is there actual biology to back that up?
This is where we get into the complex mechanics of antioxidants.
Oh, the famous antioxidants.
Yes. The research points to certain organic fruits and vegetables, specifically those with edible skins like berries, leafy greens, tomatoes, grapes, and peppers, having a higher concentration of antioxidant compounds.
And we hear that word thrown around on every juice bottle and granola bar, usually followed by fights free radicals.
Always.
But let's get granular here.
Yeah.
What is actually happening at a cellular level inside our bodies?
It comes down to cellular rust.
Cellular risk.
Yeah. Through normal human metabolism, simply converting food to energy, and through exposure to environmental pollutants or UV light, our bodies produce free radicals.
Okay.
These are highly unstable molecules because they are physically missing an electron in their outer shell.
So they go rogue and just go looking for an electron to steal.
Exactly. They violently tear through your cellular structures, damaging DNA and puncturing cell membranes just to rip an electron away and stabilize themselves.
That sounds terrifying.
It's not great. That
Yeah.
resulting damage is what we call oxidative stress. It is literally biological rusting.
Oh, I hate the sound of that.
Right. But antioxidants are unique molecules that are chemically generous enough to donate an electron to the free radical without becoming unstable themselves.
So they just hand over the electron and calm the whole situation down.
They neutralize the threat and stop the chain reaction of damage in its tracks.
Okay, but why on earth would an organic tomato have more of these electron-donating molecules than a conventional tomato? Shouldn't the genetic makeup of a tomato just be a tomato?
You would think. But this is perhaps the most fascinating biological mechanism in the entire organic debate.
I'm ready.
It's a concept related to the xenohormesis hypothesis.
Xenohormesis. Okay.
Think about the life of that conventional tomato we talked about earlier. It is pampered.
Right. The fast fashion tomato.
Exactly. It's grown in somewhat sterile soil, pumped full of immediately available soluble nitrogen, and shielded from every single pest by a literal chemical force field of synthetic sprays.
It never has to defend itself. It's living its entire life in a protective bubble.
Exactly. The organic tomato, however, is exposed to the harsh realities of nature. It has to fend off minor insect attacks. It has to compete with other organisms in the living soil.
So it's stressed out.
Yes. Because it is mildly consistently stressed, its biological defense systems kick into overdrive. And what do you think a plant's natural defense chemicals are?
Wait, are they the antioxidants?
Yes. Things like flavonoids, polyphenols, and anthocyanins.
Oh, wow.
The plant produces these bitter compounds to protect its own cellular structure from environmental stress and to deter pests. When we eat the organic plant, we ingest those amplified, stress-induced defense chemicals, and they act as powerful antioxidants in our own bodies.
That is brilliant. The plant's struggle for survival actually makes it more nutritionally dense for us to consume.
It really does.
But how much of a difference are we realistically talking about? If I eat the organic tomato, am I getting like twice the amount of antioxidants?
No, and we have to manage expectations very aggressively here.
Okay, good to know.
The data shows the nutritional advantage is modest. We're talking about a percentage bump, not a totally different magnitude of nutrition. A conventional tomato is still incredibly good for you and packed with vitamins and antioxidants.
Right.
The organic one just has a slightly higher concentration due to that environmental stress response.
So when we look at the personal health micro level, you are paying for a modest bump in stress-induced antioxidants and a reduction in the long-term compounding effects of synthetic chemicals.
That is the biological reality of the premium price tag.
But the personal health aspect, the biology of the human body, is really only half the story.
Definitely.
Because if we zoom out, the decision to buy organic scales up to a massive environmental footprint. If we aren't spraying synthetic chemicals on the apple, we aren't spraying them on the earth.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is the macro level impact. And for a huge demographic of consumers, this is the primary reason they are willing to pay the markup.
Really? More than the health stuff.
For a lot of people, yes. It's about the mechanics of the ecosystem. Consider what happens when it rains heavily on a conventional farm that relies on highly concentrated, soluble synthetic nitrogen fertilizers.
Well, the soil is sterile and compact, like you said, so it can't hold all of it, and it just washes away.
It washes away rapidly. It runs off into local streams, which feed into rivers, which eventually feed into the ocean. That massive influx of synthetic nitrogen essentially fertilizes the water.
Oh, I've heard of this. It triggers those explosive, unnatural algal blooms on the surface.
Exactly.
And those massive blooms block the sunlight from reaching the aquatic plants below. And then the algae eventually dies, it decomposes, and the bacteria breaking it down suck all the oxygen out of the water.
Creating those massive dead zones where no marine life can survive.
It's so sad.
It is. Agricultural runoff is a massive driver of aquatic dead zones. But organic farming, by legally requiring the use of slow-release, compost-based fertilizers, drastically reduces that nutrient runoff.
Because the nitrogen is tied up in the compost?
Right. The nitrogen is bound up in complex organic matter that acts like a sponge, holding onto the water rather than flushing it away. It actually stabilizes the local watershed.
That makes a ton of sense. And the organic regulations don't just apply to the dirt in the water, right? They fundamentally change the living conditions for livestock.
Yes, absolutely.
If someone is buying conventional dairy or meat, they are interacting with a very different agricultural machine than if they buy organic.
The animal welfare standards are a critical, legally binding component of the organic certification.
What are the rules?
Well, it dictates that livestock must be fed a 100% organic diet, meaning the feed itself was grown without synthetic pesticides or chemical fertilizers.
Okay.
But more importantly, it mandates specific behavioral and living conditions. The animals must have year-round access to the outdoors, adequate shade, clean drinking water, and enough physical space to engage in natural behaviors.
So they aren't confined in those massive, concentrated animal feeding operations. They have to actually touch the grass and move around.
Exactly.
But does that change the biology of the product? Like, does an egg from a foraging chicken actually differ chemically from a caged one?
It does. It changes the lipid profile.
Really?
Yeah. Animals that forage and eat a diverse, natural diet like cows eating grass instead of purely engineered corn feed tend to produce dairy and meat with significantly higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids.
Which are the good ones, right? The
Yeah.
strongly anti-inflammatory ones.
Yes, and lower levels of inflammatory omega-6s. So the animal's welfare directly translates to the nutritional profile of the food it produces.
So what does this all mean for you, the person shopping? This completely reframes the entire grocery store experience for me.
It's a huge shift in perspective.
Yeah. If you understand these mechanics, you realize that your shopping cart is actually a powerful economic tool. When you choose the organic egg, you aren't just thinking about your breakfast. You are casting a microvote.
A microvote, I like that.
Yeah. You're casting a financial microvote for how you want the world's surface to be managed.
Oh, absolutely.
You are voting to fund a farmer who is taking the extra time to rebuild the soil microbiome. You are voting against synthetic agricultural runoff, creating dead zones in the ocean.
Right.
You're voting for a chicken to have the physical space to stretch its wings.
Right.
You are basically hiring a proxy to perform environmental stewardship on your behalf, and the premium price tag is simply their salary.
That is a profound way to conceptualize it, because without that healthy soil microbiome, the global food system eventually collapses.
Which is a terrifying thought.
Soil degradation and topsoil erosion are massive threats to future generations. By casting that microvote, you are actively funding the preservation of arable land.
Okay, so we have explored the soil mechanics, the biological rust of oxidative stress, and the macro-level environmental impact.
The whole ecosystem.
Right. But as I was reviewing the data, I hit this completely unexpected thread. It has absolutely nothing to do with nitrogen, or free radicals, or cows.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say.
It is purely about human behavior.
Yes. You are talking about the psychological phenomenon of mindful eating.
Yes.
This is where the organic label transcends agriculture and becomes a fascinating behavioral catalyst.
Explain this because it blew my mind. How does a little green sticker change human psychology?
It is about the friction of financial investment.
Okay.
The data shows that consumers who actively choose to spend more money on organic products undergo a subconscious behavioral shift. Because they have invested heavily in the raw materials of their diet, they are significantly more likely to eat more fresh produce overall.
Really?
Yeah. They cook more meals at home from scratch. They scrutinize nutrition labels more intensely. They naturally pivot toward a whole food, minimally processed diet.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Completely.
It totally reminds me of the psychology behind buying incredibly expensive professional-grade running shoes.
Oh, I see the parallel.
Huh?
You buy the gear, you subconsciously adopt the identity.
Yeah, exactly. If you go to the sporting goods store and drop $250 on top-of-the-line marathon shoes, you don't just shove them in the back of your closet.
No, you'd feel too guilty.
Right. The financial pain of that purchase forces you to justify it. So you wake up at 6 a.m., you lace them up, and you actually hit the pavement.
Yeah.
The shoes don't magically move your legs for you, but the financial investment altered your mindset.
And that is exactly what happens with the organic produce.
Hmm.
The financial investment in a $6 pint of organic strawberries creates a psychological obligation.
You are not going to let those expensive strawberries rot in the back of the crisper drawer.
Exactly. You are going to eat them. You are going to build a healthy meal around them.
So this raises a fascinating question. Is the organic label secretly just a psychological behavioral hack?
Honestly, yes.
Are we paying the premium simply to force ourselves to pay attention to our diet?
For many people, yes.
Yeah.
And we should absolutely not discount the profound health implications of that behavioral hack.
That's true.
If buying the expensive organic spinach is the psychological trigger that causes you to cook a nutrient-dense dinner at home rather than ordering highly processed, sodium-heavy takeout.
The physiological benefit of that behavioral shift massively outweighs the slight antioxidant bump in the spinach itself.
Exactly. The behavioral shift is huge.
That is wild. The actual health benefit of organic food might have more to do with our brains forcing us to be consistent than it does with the farming practices.
The label creates intention, and intention is the bedrock of long-term wellness.
Which brings us perfectly to the bottom line of this deep dive. We've looked at the living machinery of the soil, the long-term mitigation of chemical exposure.
The defense mechanisms of stress plants creating antioxidants.
Right, and the psychological identity shift of the mindful eater. So what is the ultimate takeaway for the person standing in the aisle trying to make a decision?
The ultimate takeaway is that no agricultural label, no matter how strictly regulated, can overwrite the fundamental rules of human nutrition.
Oh, say that again.
An organic potato chip, deep fried in organic oil and dusted with organic salt, is still a highly processed food that will rapidly spike your blood sugar.
A cookie made without synthetic pesticides is still just a cookie.
Precisely. The bedrock of health is eating a diverse diet rich in whole grains, legumes, healthy fats, lean proteins, and a massive amount of fresh produce.
And it goes beyond the kitchen, right?
Oh, completely. It requires adequate sleep, active stress management, and consistent physical movement.
Yeah.
Whether you buy organic or conventional, if you are consistently eating whole foods, you're already winning the game. Consistency will always matter more than the absolute perfection of the ingredient.
We've stripped away the marketing hype, and we know exactly what we are buying when we pay that premium. It's an investment in the ecosystem, a reduction in chemical load, and a psychological anchor.
Right.
But I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on today.
The concept of the mindful investment.
Right. If the mere act of intentionally buying the more expensive organic product tricks our brains into cooking more, eating better, and wasting less food through that psychological halo effect,
Yep.
could you hack your own habits without actually spending the extra money?
By applying that exact same level of intention to conventional produce.
Exactly. What if you picked up that cheaper conventional apple with the exact same reverence and intentionality as the organic one?
I love that idea.
What if you treated every whole food you bought as a premium investment in your identity? Because maybe the real secret ingredient to a healthier lifestyle isn't necessarily the agricultural certification on the shelf.
It's the intention behind it.
Maybe it's the sheer focused intention of the hand that reaches for it. Next time you are standing under those fluorescent lights staring at the apples, ask yourself, are you waiting for the food to change your habits, or are you ready to change them yourself?